what can I say, bombastic beginning for the new year. What a January! Sunod-sunod ang happenings, ASF, pumutok ang bulkan ng Taal. Pagkatapos eto, NCOV, grabe talaga. So sunod-sunod, it's been one after the tapos kahapon, lindol na naman sa Davao, lakas-lakas. And the NCOV doesn't seem to show any signs of abating. We had a very serious and exceedingly long hearing in the Senate about the NCOV with the DOH officials and all the others concerned. Kasama yung DFA, the Executive Secretary, and all the rest. And ang problema talaga, also in Cebu to inquire what's going on because it appears that Cebu is somehow the front line of the NCOV. Dahil yung namatay, dumaan dito sa Cebu at Dumaguete. And that's the first death from NCOV outside of China. So medyo nakakatakot talaga at kailangan talaga we should be more careful here. There are also reports of recently, there are reports of new, smaller airlines that have been going around the Visayas direct from Wuhan that weren't reported during the hearing. Yung Royal Air Philippines, direct chartered flights, as well as the other one that's called the Pan Pacific. So there are some concerns that in Boracay, from Boracay, they're going to the other islands in Visayas. They're namamasyal, nagtuturista. Ito nga yung Royal Air Philippines at yung Pan Pacific Airlines. Ang sabi, ang lipad, Wuhan, Calibo, and from there, they usually go to Cebu. So we're quite anxious about that kasi 135 arrived here in the Philippines, around the Visayas area, from Wuhan, the same day that the outbreak was announced. We're also concerned that the contact tracking has been very poor. As we know, the first NCOV and the second one, who became a fatality, arrived on January 21, Cebu Pacific and PAL. And they had histories of coming through Cebu and Dumaguete. Without agitating and starting an alarm, we have to be very, very careful. I noticed that very few in Cebu are actually using masks because the shortage apparently is intense. And now they're telling us that N95 isn't even good enough. But please make an effort. Kung wala na talagang mask, ang sabi ng ating mga doktor, wash your hands constantly, mag-alcohol tayo. It's getting quite alarming despite the fact that sinasabi nila na medyo humihina na daw yung infection. But at the same time, we are also hearing that here in the islands of the Visayas, there are cruise ships that are landing or berthing without notifying customs or immigration. Ngayon, ang sabi nila, yung iba daw dyan, galing sa China. So we've already heard about the Diamond Princess ship na ang daming contaminated, mag-ingat po tayo. At sa mga LGU, kung talaga berth na maliliit na cruise ship, please report. I think it's all about reporting. The other issue, of course, is the problem of quarantine. Ang dami ng mga OFWs, our OFWs who came home for Christmas cannot go back to Hong Kong because they don't want to endure the quarantine. The others naman na pauwi don't know where to go for quarantine. I know that the quarantine here has been declared at 14 days. Ang problema, we all want everyone to be safe, but on the other hand, not a single town, not a single place wants to be the quarantine area kasi magiging infectious zone yan. Whether it's Medellin in Cebu or Capas in Tarlac, everyone wants to have a quarantine zone, but they don't want it to be in their backyard.
Yeah.
Kaya yan ang problema, nobody wants to get infected. So let's just try to find an isolation area. If you remember, nung nagkaroon ng outbreak ng Ebola virus, sa West Africa, yung mga sundalo, the peacekeepers na Filipino that joined the effort with the UN, when they came home, they ended up in Caballo Island, across Corregidor. So perhaps there's an island or some isolated area that we can consider for the isolation area. So this is really a matter of concern, and let's watch out for our seniors, our oldies, as well as for our children. I'm a little bit anxious about the public schools. We have very, very big public schools in Cebu. They're up to 5,000, 10,000 kids in the elementary and high school. Let's please wash our hands, don't touch your face, keep alcohol around if there are no masks available. So, wala munang shake hands, wala munang beso-beso, wala munang masyadong chika-chika. Medyo ingat lang muna and don't touch your face, kids, kasi mahirap, masyadong highly vulnerable ang mga bata and yung mga lolas and lolos. So let's just be very careful without instilling panic or even turning racist. Huwag naman. Kanina sa flight, maraming taga-China, lahat kinakabahan. Huwag naman tayo ganyan. Hindi naman lahat ng Chinese galing sa China or even the local Chinois, wala naman silang dalang nCoV lahat. Huwag naman tayo masyadong praning. So that's one. The other thing that we're concerned with. One is yun nga, the nCoV here in the Visayas, particularly in Cebu, given the high percentage of China tourism. So, and the apparent lack of facilities, isolation and quarantine areas, and the complete shortage of N95 and surgical masks. So, yun ang problema, no? So, alin ba yung infectious disease na hospital dito? RITM and San Lazaro lang naririnig ko sa Manila. But here is Vicente Soto. Do they have an isolation ward?
Yes, ma'am.
Kasi ang dami-dami.
May mga PUIs kami, so doon sila na.
Yeah, I think I understand that there's an isolation ward that's been assigned. But pag dumami pa yan, baka na paikot-ikot tayo dito. Medyo avoid muna, stay at home muna hanggat kaya. I'm also here because I handle the budget of the DSWD, the Social Welfare and Development. So during the passage of the 2020 budget last year, around November, it came to my attention yung listahan ng malnutrition sa Pilipinas. These are the stunted, malnourished children. And I was quite shocked to discover that one of the highest in the country is in Cebu province, specifically in the area of District 7 and around the 2nd District, medyo matindi. So, kausap ko na yung ibang local leaders. Let's do something about it. There has been over 3 billion pesos allocated to the 0 to 1,000 years old children. And yet, we don't seem to be registering a difference. Last year, in October, the World Bank report indicated 2 statistics na nakakahiya sa Pilipinas. One was the childhood malnutrition, which, although the Philippines is not a poor country anymore, right? It's a middle-class country ang tawag nila. Although we're a middle-income country, yung ating malnourished children, parang Africa, parang poor country, sobrang taas. 30% are suffering the stunting of up to 1/3 of their brain. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang sila hindi lumalaki, hindi tumatangkad, hindi tumataba. Yung utak hindi fully developed. So, kawawa naman ang ating mga anak, hindi pa lumalaki, they're not yet fully grown, lugi na. Utak nila growing to capacity. So we need to feed them better. So we're talking for a convergence and all-of-government approach, the DA to get the farmers to plant malunggay, munggo, and then perhaps for flavoring, siguro I can have yung matatamis kasi yun naman ang gusto ng bata. Gusto naman ng bata ng yung sabihin natin, yung kamote, saba, yung kalabasa, kasi matatamis yun. Ihahalo natin para iba-iba yung flavors. And hopefully, we'll be able to come up with replacement meals that are protein-enriched with, syempre, the all Ilocano product of which are plenty here in Cebu, yung malunggay, and also munggo, and coconut, and other protein sources. So that's what we're trying to work on. And my mom had a project like that long time ago. It was called Nutriban. It was in cooperation with the USAID. Yung mga nakakaalala nun, bistado na yung edad mo.
Ako. Grade 1 ako noon.
If you remember, malaking mona yun
Yeah.
na was protein enriched.
May bukayo.
The flour, had garbanzos and other protein enriched elements. Tapos binibake, then distribute to the schools. And in addition, may clim. Naalala niyo yung may milk, may takatak yung teacher, lalagay yung dried milk, lalagyan mo ng tubig. Yung mga katulad ko, hindi ko nilalagyan ng tubig, dinidilaan yun parang pulpo.
Masarap.
Masarap man siya, diba? And we all grew strong, healthy, on that sort of feeding. So now I think we have to bring it back in certain corners of the province because we cannot carry on like this. We really have to give our children a chance in life, by allowing them their full potential in brain development, in their physical stature, and everything else. So that's what we're working on. I spoke to Mana Marina of the DA and the assistants of the Department of Agriculture, the regional office also of Manabek there in the DSWD. And in Manila, we've already discussed with the DTI and the DOSD who have the technology for dehydrating and packaging this para mabilis, para madali lang. Kasi napakahirap na paglulutuin pa natin yung daycare workers, yung BHW, sobrang hassle. Especially when may bagyo pa or there's some kind of calamity, it's going to be too much of a pain na magluluto pa yan. In the end, yung lugaw na gagawin, kulang pa yung sustansya, kulang ng manok kasi mahal naman yung mga karne. So, let's try to simplify it and I hope that we'll be able to produce it in Cebu by the product of Cebuano farmers and finally feed it to malnourished Cebuano children. So, that's what I'm trying to do here. We've also been talking today to some food and grocery suppliers for the revival of what was called the Kadiwa project of my mom and dad. And that's the reason we can try and bring down the prices of certain goods. Siyempre, Ilocano. Pero, bilib naman ako, Cebuano. Kuripot din eh. Pareho lang eh. So, you're the Ilocanos of the South. And I think, at this point in time, hindi naman tumataas ang sweldo, pero lahat ng presyo tumataas. Lalo na dito sa Cebu, which is a rice importer. Wala namang bigas dito, everything's imported, so it becomes even more expensive. So perhaps we can bring some of the produce of rice here to Cebu and somehow to do without the traders and the middlemen and the cartels and the smugglers and try and find another venue to bring the price down with the DA. We're going to experiment in some of the Cebu City barangays, tignan natin, and then we'll look for local partners so that we can also provide dry goods and groceries. So, tignan natin, baka it might work. I think Cebuanos, like everyone else, like a good bargain. So, baka naman pwede ba yung Kadiwa. So, we can bring farm to market diretso. Wala nang middleman, wala nang masyadong patong. Yun. Pero, ang mabuti lang with the NCOV, mukhang bumagsak ang presyo ng langis. Yun lang ang bumababa so far. Kaya okay na rin. Ang problema, yung mga mask naman, umabot ng 200 pesos each. Grabe naman sinasamantala naman ng ibang negosyante. So, ano na yung chismis sa Cebu? Marami. So, okay, that's, I'm back here again. I'm here every week. Ano ba yan? Good eh. Okay, magsawa.
Ma'am, so far ma'am, ano yung masasabi mo sa effort na ginawa ng national at saka local government natin in combating the NCOV?
Well, I think I applaud President Duterte, at least talaga naman nag-ban na tayo ng mga flights. Pero kailangan sana, higpitan natin kasi mukhang may nakakalusot yung mga chartered flights to Boracay and to some of the tourist destinations. Hindi yata natin race, kaya dapat maingat tayo. And the other thing is also we need to be really careful. Mukhang malabo pa yung contact tracing. Bakit hindi ba natin nalalaman kung sino yung ibang pasahero dun sa flight noong January 21 na dalawa na yung na-infect at yung isa namatay pa. We need to trace that. Bakit napakahina? Sigurado naman available yung manifest sa airline, available yung manifest sa CAAP, sa immigration, sa customs. Ba't sila namang problema? So, I don't really understand. Let's be very, very careful. Wala naman OA kapag kalusugan ang pinag-uusapan. OA naman sa OA, basta safe lahat. Diba, mas mabuti ng gano'n. I think the governor also and Mayor Labella here in Cebu have been very active. Kaya nga lang, talaga namang problema lahat sa quarantine. Walang gusto maging quarantine I saw nga the news about Medellin, ganun rin naman sa Capital, ayaw rin nila na yung New Clark City. Kasi tatakot din lahat na doon ilalagay. So let's be very careful about the isolation wards. It's been recommended that an island or a somewhat distant place should be chosen. Huwag yung masyadong malapit sa crowded area kasi mas mahirap yung gano'n.
So ma'am, how would you react yung sa order ng DILG na yung mga barangay level magsagawa ng isolation facilities for PUFs?
I'm not certain that at the barangay level, kaya na natin yun. Baka at least sa municipal level, maybe yung malalaking barangay like Guadalupe and the other bigger urban barangays here in Cebu, that's probably a consideration because it's so big. And Cebu, unfortunately, is at the front line because of the tourist invasion from China, as it were. So we get all the good things that tourism brings us, but at the same time, when there's an outbreak like this, frontline din ang Cebu. So we have to be extra careful, and I'm glad that the local governments here have been very, very assiduous. Pero yung ibang malilit na barangay, baka hindi na nila kaya yun. Kasi kahit maglagay ng quarantine, wala namang mga doktor, wala namang mga trained sa tropical infectious disease, wala namang nurse, wala namang totohan ng isolation.
At
mahirap yata.
Walang protective gears.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think maybe to be more practical, piliin na lang natin yung mga lugar. At least, even if there isn't an isolation or quarantine unit in every single barangay, every barangay should have access and information about the closest quarantine available to them. Para alam nila kung saan dadaling kagad yung OFW or yung China tourist o kung sino man.
Senator, in the wake of that, there are many diseases that are really coming up that are, we are not ready yet to meet all these problems. Do you think it's time for the Philippines to have an agency similar to CDC in the US?
Similar to?
Center for Disease Control in the US.
In the US,
that
that's correct.
they respond immediately if there are outbreaks anywhere in the US.
Ang totoo, ang realidad, talagang napakaraming tinatawag na bagong virus, bagong bacteria. Some people are even getting completely afraid and calling it biological warfare. So nakakatakot talaga. It's something that's really difficult to deal with. What we have is San Lazaro and RITM. But like you said, that's only in Manila. What happens to the rest in all the other islands here in the Philippines? That's really the concern. So we're very, very worried about it. I think we have to admit that no one, not one place in the Philippines is actually ready for this. Pag humaba pa to, talagang mahihirapan na tayo kasi wala namang papayag na mahabang quarantine. Masyadong mahirap yun. Kaso 14 days, sabi nga ng ibang doktor, kulang pa nga yan. It has to be 21 daw. So it's very, very difficult. And even under quarantine, we're not sure what the symptoms are that manifest. Kasi yung ibang carrier daw, hindi naman nagpapakita ng anumang sintomas. So, kailangan maingat na lang tayo sa lahat. In the meantime, we've been through a number of these. There's been SARS, which was quite deadly. We've had MERS from the Middle East, and we have so many nurses and frontline workers na healthcare workers, yung mga nurse, mga doktor na nadadali. And then yun nga, yung mga OFW at sundalo na nanggaling sa West Africa with the Ebola outbreak. So we've been through a few of these. Hopefully the Filipinos are resilient, at alam naman natin, medyo careless ang Pinoy sa mga bagay-bagay na ito. Tiisin na lang muna natin. Because like you said, capacity for disease control is really limited.
So do you think, ma'am, it's time for the Philippines to have that agency?
I'm not entirely familiar with that agency, but I'm very familiar with RITM in Manila. We have very capable people there, but iisa lang yan. At saka hindi naman siya nationwide. Sana magkaroon tayo ng iba't ibang sentro, lalo-lalo na sa Cebu, sa Davao, places where ang dami-daming dumadapo na foreigners at alien diseases, ika nga.
Ma'am, what is your reaction for LGUs who refuse to be a host or to other places identified as a quarantine area?
Oo nga, nagagalit na yung DOH. Sabi ng DOH, yung Pilipino daw nagiging inhospitable. Bakit daw hindi tayo nagpapayanihan? Bakit natin hindi na-offer? On the other hand, I can also understand the LGUs. Kasi talaga naman, natatakot ka mamaya yung mga lola ninyo, yung mga anak ninyo, sino pang mahawa. Siyempre natatakot. And of course, the incapacity of so many of our LGUs to handle the situation. So let's just try to be reasonable and tignan natin. At the same time, with DOH, siguro piliin lang yung mga lugar na medyo uninhabited at malayo-layo. Huwag naman yung sobrang center na urban, kasi it's not reasonable naman talaga to choose places that are, like they say, near the marketplace, next to the slaughterhouse, wala namang hospital. Saan naman pwedeng yan ilagay? Imposible naman yun. So I think let's try to harmonize na lang, balance our interests. Yung mga let's keep an open mind, but at the same time, demand that there are precautions for the locals. Galing LGU ako that's why I can't condemn the LGUs. I understand where they're coming from. Kasi their primordial interest is to protect their constituents. Eh kung hindi rin nyo kaya i-protect, I can't blame the Medellin and Capas leaders for complaining. Pero kung explain naman yung DOH, na yung DOH ang tutulong to isolate, to provide experts and all the medicines for infectious disease, I think we should all try to listen and be more, as it were, hospitable.
So as to your plan for the SWD, specifically on the nutrition
Yes, for
program.
supplemental feeding. Ang tawag na yung first 1,000 days program.
Yes. So
And then
you want to have like a Kaliwa.
Well, that one is a Nutriban. Parang Nutriban siya that we were eating when we were younger.
Yeah.
It's feeding. One is the feeding program.
So do we have or you plan to give a budget for Cebu or for region?
Yes. We want to pilot in Cebu because unfortunately, very, very sadly, sa kabila ng pagiging mayaman, malaki, maunlad ng Cebu, leading siya sa malnutrition. So we need to put an end to that. That's a disgraceful statistic and one that we shouldn't accept. So, kailangan meron tayong pilot dito sa Cebu, aside from other places. And I hope it will become a virtuous circle. Meaning, we will we know that our farmers are having a really difficult time because agricultural prices have plummeted. No, they are really collapsed. Corn, garlic, all sorts of vegetables have really crashed. The prices have really come down. So yung mga farmers natin kailangan ng tulong. So on one hand, bibilhin natin yung mga ng ating mga magsasaka ito yung ating ipoprocess at gagawing masustansyang mga pagkain for our kids sa DTI side. In the middle, DTI, DOSD, tutulong sila kung paano ipoprocess para madali na lang ipakain sa bata. So that's the dream. You see, there is a project in Thailand na I want to emulate sana, which what happened was they discovered, like we are now, that they had a lot of malnourished children in Thailand. Ang ginawa nila, instead of importing lots of food, what they did was to bring in a lot of dairy cows. Nagdala sila ng cattle, and they gave it to their livestock farmers, who in turn started producing a lot of milk. And all these liters of milk were fed to the children, who stopped being malnourished, and that became a big program. So dalawang nangyari sa Thailand. One, the children were no longer malnourished, and two, they developed overnight almost a dairy industry, producing milk, providing additional. I hope we can change their minds one day. DepEd has a little bit of money. Pag sinungat total mo, may 4 billion. Kaya nga, tinatanong ko, saan nakapunta yung 4 billion na yan? Let's look at it and try to do it properly so that the children are really, really provided with protein-enriched food. I think something that happens rin kasi, our daycare workers, our municipal social workers, our PHW, dami-dami na nilang trabaho. The more modern, more processed and dehydrated and packaged Nutriban para bumalik sa atin.
So is there a need for a bill for that?
Sorry?
Is there a need for a bill?
Actually, marami na siyang bill. I'm not saying anything original. All I'm saying is that may pera naman, may bill naman, ang dami ng batas tungkol dyan, bakit hindi pa rin nagagawa? Tignan natin, tutukan natin. Maybe we can hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Help the farmers double their income or at least derive additional income, and at the same time feed our children properly. So sana that will happen. Let's see, let's try and figure out. There are real areas in Cebu where our farmers are really not earning very much. And kulang na kulang talaga, hindi kaya. Ang nakikita lang natin, the 5-star hotels of Cebu, the really dazzling tourist spots, we see the progressive and highly developed part of Cebu City, when in fact, we know that there are areas being left behind. And we can't allow that. Walang iwanan dapat.
Yeah, kasi normally yun ang problema ng mga farmers kasi di ba, like sa bigas, nagkaka-question sila kasi ang mura ng di ba, yung bili ng palay nila. Tapos, ito naman yung government natin is nag-i-import. So, sana naman siguro bigyan din natin ng pansin yung mga problema ng mga farmers. Like what you said, na kailangan encourage natin sila to plant
Other things.
areas.
Yeah, yung tinatawag natin cash crops, high value cash crops. So, kung pwede, buti nga dito sa Cebu kasi ang problema dito, di ba, we're importing. Cebu is a net importer of rice. Buti nga dito, sanay kayo maghalo sa mais. So, ba yun? Net importer. So, kapag babagsak ang presyo, tataas ang presyo, wala. The Cebuanos are victim to the market price. That's the problem. In the meantime, the farmers are really not earning very much. We are selling. We were selling last year at 8 pesos yung palay. Samantalang yung production cost ng 1 kilo ng bigas is 12.80. So, paano ka magkikita nun? Talagang napakahirap. We are very uncompetitive relative to Vietnam. Sa Vietnam kasi, ang imported, 6 pesos lang kada kilo ang kanilang cost of production. Tayo, more than double, 12.80. I cannot compete. Yun ang problema. But we were obliged to allow importation kasi we signed that. Pero we didn't naman help the farmers. So now, let's try to catch up with that and in the meantime, focus on other sources of revenue. One thing that they should really push here in Cebu that hasn't really happened yet, ang dami ng turista, pero walang agro-tourism or leisure farms or farm tours. Wala pa talagang nade-develop ng maraming farm tours dito. Maraming leisure farms sa Taiwan and elsewhere. Additional income din yun. Malaking bagay din yun eh. And then processing, if we can process this monggo, coconut, mais, if we can process this all for the kids, additional livelihood and income rin sa mga mami yan kung ipoprocess. So let's try and get the ball rolling. Medyo malabo pa ngayon, pero kaya yan. Carry yan.
Ma'am, when do you intend to implement this Nutri-Bond for the malnourished kids?
June! Beginning of this school year. Tapang, no? Ewan ko, tingnan natin. Hopefully. We need to start soon. Kasi we're going to lose a whole generation of children this way. We have to start soon. I think there's no time to waste. Imagine 1/3 of children's brains are not growing. I mean, it's a really shocking statistic. They have no chance at all. Ang problema pa niya, it's back to back with the other lousy statistic of teenage pregnancy. They say that 1/5 of all the girls between 15 to 19 years old in the Philippines
Are getting pregnant.
is buntis, has had a kid, or is about to have a child. I mean, or already has kids. So, back to back yan eh. Kasi yung teenage pregnant mom, inevitably, medyo bagets-pen, so hindi siya talaga well-developed, hindi pa kaya. So she's probably going to be herself malnourished. And yung baby, mas lalong malnourished. So this is becoming a really vicious circle that we really need to end once and for all.
Yeah. Let's go back to
Politics.
let's go back to like for face mask or
Yeah.
you are proposing to the Senate to amend the Consumer Act of the Philippines.
Yes, I actually filed. Yeah, pikon ako sa mga nag-exploit. Kapag may epidemia, and then they exploit the medical supplies like face masks and alcohol, and medicines. Nakakainis yun, di ba? Ito nga, hirap na nga yung mga tao. You know, the face mask issue started very early in Manila, in the Manila area, because of Taal volcano.
Yes.
So 2 weeks before, nakakagulo na because Taal volcano erupted, and then there was ashfall everywhere. Many people were getting sick, the weather was so weird, lumalamig, umiinit. So everybody was wearing face mask. Tapos, naubos na yung face mask, first round ng pagkaubos, hanggang umabot na ng mga 200 pesos kada piraso, papel lang naman yan. And then, yet nga, nung nag-end COVID pa, nag-double na yung pagka-shortage at yung pagkamahal. So I was saying na maybe we should amend the Consumer Act na double ang penalties, double ang parusa pag talagang masyadong sinasamantala yung sitwasyon. When they're taking advantage now of the consumer during times of emergency, of calamity, of pandemics, of disease, hindi naman pwede yun. Dapat parusahan niya, nakakainis naman sila. May sakit na nga yung tao eh, sasamantalain mo pa. So, yeah, I filed. Sa inis ko, I filed.
So yung ang penalty ngayon is masyado bang mababa under?
Yeah, the penalties are so low that if you're a big national or even a medical company, ay wala kang namang pakialam, magkano lang naman yan. Di ba? Kaya na nilang kitain yan. So, let's not allow them to do that. I think we were also able, during the second tax package of the DOF, na ayos din namin yung removal of VAT from the medicines. The medicines like the medicines such as the hypertension, cholesterol, and diabetes medicines, tatanggalin na from sale and also from importation. Zero VAT na yan. So malaking bagay na yan. Then we will add more diseases such as yung mga chemotherapy, nasaksak ng mahal ng mga gamot, and then later on maybe mental diseases, kumakalat kasi ang youth. and female depression. So yung mental illness, the medicines which are becoming so expensive. So lahat yan, we'll start adding more, hopefully, so that we can bring the prices of medicines down here in the Philippines. Ang taas we're among the highest in the region. If you go to Thailand, ang taba ng presyo.
Do you think there is a hoarding than shortage of medical
Supplies.
during times of calamity?
Sabi nila, minsan kasi, di ba, you see people coming out of the pharmacies with boxes and boxes and boxes na iniisip ko na lang, siguro maraming empleyado to o bibigay to sa eskwelahan. But sometimes you're wondering, mag-iwan naman kayo para sa kapwa kasi inubos na rin niya lahat. And I think that's what we have to do. Just get enough for yourself, your family, and those that you're responsible for, so that everyone can have something. In the meantime, the DOH and the DTI say that they've already spoken to Mercury Drugs, WellMed, and the other suppliers na magpasok pa ng karagdagan ng mga supplies. Pero yun nga, marami sa ating mga mask nanggagaling sa China or nanggagaling sa Indonesia na lahat may shortage. So yan ang problema. Talagang nakikipag-agawan tayo sa everyone is very, very frightened by the MOV.
But what's wrong with the implementation of the national ID system? Why it took so long to be implemented?
I know, why is it taking so long? That's also my question. Nakita natin, kahit pa paano, na-isolate ng China government yung Wuhan very quickly. They were able to impose a lockdown quite quickly. Not only in Wuhan, but through other cities in the Hubei province. At malaking bagay dito kasi meron silang mga ID na kumpleto talaga. Talaga makikita nila yung address. So wherever you are in China or in fact the world, you can be traced that you're in fact coming from Wuhan. So, maliwanag. But for us, yung ID system na yan, daming debate, ang daming argumento, daming protesta, finally napasa, asan na siya? Ang pakatagal, they're always telling us that in a pilot, testing stage, susubukan. Ewan ko, napagod na ako sa kaihintay. Asan ba yung ID na yan now that we need it? Kasi we really need it. At least if we had the numbers, we know who left the country, who came back in, ano yung date, and so on and so forth. But right now, we're so inefficient with the country. This lack of an ID system is not helping the cause. I remember that there was a huge debate about the issues of privacy. Violation of privacy daw yung national ID system. Hindi naman ilalagay doon lahat ng romantic history mo at lahat ng medical record. Hindi naman ilalagay natin, pangalan mo lang, diba? Basic stuff. So, we can finally get it up and going. Kasi, dal-dal na lang tayo, hindi na nagawa eh.
In other issues, Senator, like the PFA, what is the advantage or disadvantage if
we cut our ties?
If
We cut our ties with US. Do you think?
Sa VFA kasi.
Sa PFA. Hindi, kinabahan yata lahat nung sinabi ni Presidente na palibhasa hindi bibigyan ng visa si Bato. I-abrogate na yung BFA na yan. Maraming ninervous doon, no? Because as we know, our military is so reliant on the US for training, for upgrading, and even for equipment. Dahil naman nakakatikim ng mga state-of-the-art weaponry ang ating mga sundalo. And very often, pagkatapos ng DFA, iniiwan na nila lahat ng equipment dito. Kung ano yung tira, yung pinagamitan, iiwanan na nila sa mga Pilipino. Tayo, daldal tayo ng modernization and sovereignty. Wala naman tayong kakayahan. So, it's essential for us at this point in time to get help where we can get help. Ang importante naman, kumuha tayo ng tulong sa Amerika, dapat kumuha rin tayo ng tulong sa China, sa Russia, sa India, Thailand, hindi, Singapore. I think we should have open borders and allow training from many other countries that want to come here. Australia and the ANZA troops want to train here. Singapore wants to train here. Indonesia, Thailand. Why don't we do that? I mean, allow them to come here. They will improve our own soldiers, and at the same time, we can all upgrade together and have stronger ties as a region. Yun ang akin. Let's not cut ties with anyone, and let's have alliances with everyone. Sayang naman yung VFA.
So you're no for VFA
No for
cancellation.
No, well, congressman ako, so pinirmahan niya, hindi ko dahil. Kasi parang, ano ba to, hindi na mawawala forever yung sundalong Amerikano dito sa lupain natin. Parang hindi naman tama, they're forever here na. Pero nakita naman natin that in operation, the VFA actually grants us a very unique privilege. And that is, we get jurisdiction over airing American soldiers. Nakita natin yan,
Yeah.
di ba yung Daniel Smith, yung naakusahan ng rape, di ba? The Philippine court took over. So we got jurisdiction. Ngayon, yung isa pa, yung, do you recall the murder of Jennifer Laude? There was a convicted Marine who until now is still in jail under Philippine courts. So, ibig sabihin, unusual yan na yung sundalong Amerikano hinahatulan ng korteng Pilipino. Malaking bagay yan. Pag tinanggap mo yung VFA, pag inakusahan ang isang Amerikano na sundalo na meron siyang ginawang mali o nasaktan yung Pilipino o talagang may nalabag na batas, he'll just be spirited away at midnight and you'll never hear of the guy again. Pero yung VFA allows our courts to acquire jurisdiction and convict even the American military. This is a very big advantage and one that we only share with two other countries. The Visiting Forces Agreement, siguro may 120 na bansa na yung US may Visiting Forces Agreement with so many countries, 120. Sa 120 na yan, tatlo lang yung may acquisition of jurisdiction by the foreign country, by the host country. And those are Japan and Korea, where, as we know, maayos naman ang judicial system. At yung ikatlo is the Philippines. Nasabi ng iba, hindi masyadong maganda ang ating judicial system, but nevertheless, perhaps because of the loss of Subic and Guard, the Americans gave us. So let's not give up BFA. Aralin. Sa akin, aralin. I-repaso natin. Meron naman kasi amendment dun meron naman yata provision doon na may body na i-constitute, may committee na i-repaso yan every so often. Magandang rin-repaso para ma-update. Kasi nagbabago rin ang security and power alliances within the region. Tama lang na i-review yan. Like, anong gagawin sa terrorism threat. Ngayon, puro drone technology na, puro digital na, wala nang pakialam sa mga military bases, puro aircraft carrier na. These are technology and terrorism realities that we have to deal with. Tama naman na i-repaso lahat in that context. BFA.
So you are not for the abolition?
Siguro i-review. Ano mo, mas hindi ko type pa yung EDCA. EDCA is seen to be the implementing instruction for the BFA. Pero nandun, na pabalik-balik kasi sila sa Pilipinas, parang for me, hindi na nawala yung sundalo rito, either in Basa Air Base, in Zamboanga, parang they keep coming round. I don't know. Let's see how it works. But there's a hesitation on the part of so many to bring it up. Maldita ako kaya nung hearing, tinanong ko, kung talagang okay yung alliance na yan at nangako yung mga Amerikano na tutulungan tayo, bakit hindi tayo magpatulog na angkinin ulit ang Scarborough Shoal? Lahat tumahimik, ha? Ang tapang nito, waray-waray nga.
Dapat nga.
Well, thank you so much, yes.
May I ask, your comment on the performance of Secretary Duque in handling this in COVID?
Handling the situation. Your
He's
life.
Ilocano.
Pagkasinan.
But what about his
No,
performance?
medyo disappointed kami. Ako, personally. Medyo disappointed ako sa performance ng DOH. At saka bakit hindi na nawala yung mga scam dyan? Nag-umpisa sa Delpaxia, yung kaguluhan ng PhilHealth, yung kaguluhan ng sunod-sunod na, yung, hindi ko kasi matanggap yung limpak-limpak na bilyon ng gamot, ng micronutrients, ng vitamina, ng napakamamahal na injections, nabubulok, na-expired sa bodega. Parang hindi ko matanggap that level of wastage. Hindi nagkulang si Presidente Duterte sa paglalagay ng budget dyan. Maraming gamot. Bakit nila binubulok? Tapos yung PhilHealth, saan ka naman nakarinig? Hindi ka ba naman hihimatayin? Nagdadialysis, patay. Nandun nakalista, patay na pala yung pasyente, pero nagdadialysis 3 times a week. I mean, I just think it's unconscionable. When, on the other hand, you have all these senior citizens, all these children waiting for open heart surgery. You have so many crying out for help with their health. Ano ba naman yun? So, sana medyo pag-igihan naman ng konti ng DOH. It's really dismal, our situation.
Yes, Madam Senator, anong pwede natin gawin? Kasi yan nga ang problema ng DOH or Health Department. Kasi naglabasan yung mga gamot na papa-expire na.
Oo nga nakakashock Talagang nagulat naman ako, ilang bilyon ba yun? Na sinayang lang nila, nabulok lahat sa bodega. Tama ba yan? Wala ba silang monitoring sa dinami-dami ng software? Pag pinasok in, expiry date out. Obvious ba? Madali na yan. It's so easy. Don't even need a bodegero anymore. You just need your computer. You just track it, di ba? Hindi naman ganun kakomplikado na yan. It's really, really shocking. And then now, with the nCoV, hindi ko tanggap na hindi nila mahanap yung mga ibang pasahero. Only 17% of the passengers that came from Wuhan have been traced. How can that be? How hard is it? How many passengers ba are there in these flights? Ilan lang naman yung flight eh. Alam naman natin lahat, dumating January 21, nagkahawaan ng dalawa. Malamang yung iba, nahawa din. Ano ba yan? Ba't hindi nila alam hanggang ngayon kung sino yung pasahero? Tapos sasabihin, kasalanan ng Bureau Director. Teka muna, bakit magtuturuan? Ikaw ang boss. Anyway,
So, Senator, do you think that there's a need for a protocol, like for example, if there's things happen,
Similar.
similar occurrence like this, there should be put in place a protocol so
there is none. As long as you make a request, you can get the manifest. It's not that complicated. As long as there's an official request and the reason is very clear and go big, di talagang ibibigay yan ng CAF, ibibigay ng immigration, ibibigay naman yan ng airline. Ang takot lang nila, mamaya pati sila mahawa.
but apparently hindi po nagawa yun ng mga
That's right.
Ran, patawag.
Like you, I don't understand. How hard is that to do?
Ma'am, do you think it's about time for DOH to declare all DOH hospital to under the state of emergency?
Nagpaliwanag naman si Secretary Duque, medyo tanggap naman namin. Dahil wala pang sinasabi na maramihan, wala pang dose-dose ng Pilipino na infected. So we cannot really declare a national emergency. Pero, considering how infectious this is, whether there's a declaration or not, talaga naman dapat high alert na tayong lahat. Pero let's not declare the epidemic. I mean, wala naman epidemia of national proportions dahil wala naman hundreds of Filipinos na nagkasakit. Wala naman ganun. Thank God. Pero let's not also be complacent. And let's be very careful with alcohol, wash our hands, cover our faces, don't touch our faces, and tell the children in the big public schools especially to take care of themselves.
Ma'am, how about anong reaction mo sa sinabi ni Secretary Duque na may mga PUIs na ayaw magpa-hospital?
Ayaw magpa-quarantine.
Ayaw magpa-quarantine.
Yun Hindi ba sinabi na mandatory quarantine? So, kung
There are 10.
ayaw magpa-quarantine at may basehan naman kasi we have evidence, palagay ko mandatory na yan. Hindi naman pwedeng they should refuse.
Please, Paul.
under police power of the
So
state.
meaning kulang yung ano natin sa
Wala,
leaders.
nagpipingilan kami nun sa Senate
Wow.
kung lack of will to enforce. Pwede mo i-enforce yan kasi mandatory quarantine na yan kung galing ka sa Wuhan or may proof na nasa flight ka na may mga infected people. Ganun talaga, tiisan tayo. Wala namang may gusto niyan.
Ang issue ng health na yun.
Yun na nga, it's a matter of life and death without being dramatic. Dahil marami rin namamatay dyan, dahan-dahan na tayo. And we've reached 28,000 na ang count. So that's quite a substantial number. Thankfully, hindi naman dito sa Pilipinas.
If these things,
Sabi naman ng iba, hindi naman daw kailangan masyadong mag-ingat ang Pilipino kasi sanay na tayo sa marumi. Hindi naman tama yun.
napag-usapan mo ba sa Senado if these things escalate o magkagrabe?
Yes, that's
I know
actually
for the
our
first
concern.
resolution.
What happens if this emergency goes on for a longer period of time? The WHO, in fact, was there, and they were explaining that it's going to be a large problem if it goes on for some time. Apparently, the infection rate has come down. It's somehow come down. The other thing that we can be grateful for is that umiinit ang panahon. Wala nang amihan eh. So medyo umiinit na. Ayaw daw nitong virus na to, yung mainit. Gusto niya 20 degrees and colder. So hopefully, hindi na siya kumalat. But sabay dasal yan. Take precautions at the same time. Yun nga, sabay dasal.
Senator, are you not calling for his resignation?
For
His resignation.
Dukis or
You
sige.
don't-
no naman. Hindi naman. Ang pag-asa ko siguro, hopefully, na umigi pa. Marami kaming tanong and many of the answers we're really not happy about.
As to
You know, the problem is, we are imposing so many tax measures. Yun nga, the Ilocanos, for example, are always complaining kasi ikatlong taas na ng tabako, sin taxes. Under sin taxes, it's the third time that tobacco has had a raise in taxes. Third time na. So masakit na talaga. It's really painful na. Ang Pilipino, di ba, pataas ang taxes natin. And then, i-raise na naman yung taxes sa ating beer are gonna go up, ang mga sugar drinks, all sorts of things, di ba, nagtataasan ng tax. All to fund the Universal Health Program. All of this money is so that may pera ang PhilHealth. Tapos, bakit tayo nagpapakamatay pigain ng tao na makapagbigay ng tax? Kapag yung tax, gagamitin lang pala sa mga peking dialysis, nabubulok. Nakakainis eh. That's really annoying, di ba? Parang, what's the logic here? Pinapahirapan mo yung tao, tapos kalokohan lang pala, puro scam mo pala na uuwian ng pera. So, I've been in the Senate now a little over 6 months. Ano na ba? 6 months na. More. July. Yeah. So, a little bit over 6 months. Sometimes when you're at the hearings, iinit pala talaga ulo mo, kaya pala nakahigh blood yung mga senator. Kasi the information, sometimes the attitude of some of the resource persons and some of the authorities are so incomprehensible and unacceptable. Nakakapigot talaga pala eh. Ngayon, naintindihan ko na kung bakit sina Senator Villar, si Senator Drilon, pag matagal na magagalit ka rin pala talaga eh.
Ma'am, with this INCOV incident, ma'am, tourism industry in Cebu, hotels and other industries were affected. What do you think the national government could help with the industry?
Yes, I've actually filed a resolution demanding impact risk assessment. Kasi nung pumunta si Secretary Dominguez, sabi niya, ang impact daw ng tatlong bagay. He cited 3 unfortunate events. Isa, yung pagputok ng taal, pagkatapos yung ASF, yung African Swine Fever, at saka yung ikatlo, yung nCoV. Sabi niya, marginal daw, halos wala raw epekto ito sa ating overall na ekonomiya. Ako, sa palagay ko, may epekto to na mas malaki. Unang-una, libo-libo na ang baboy na nawawala sa Luzon. Nawawipe out na kalahati yata ng baboy sa Luzon medyo tagilid na Tapos ngayon, nag-umpisa sa Mindanao. Grabe ang ASF. Grabe ma-wipe out. Pagkatapos yung Taal, hanggang ngayon hindi makauwi. Paano uuwi? They can't go home. They have nothing to go home to. The river where they were counting on for irrigation and farming, the river's gone. The lake is gone. They're not going to be allowed back in their homes. Where as we know, in Tacloban, 6 years later, they're still staying in the salvage zones, in the prohibited areas. Wala pa rin housing. So, on the other hand, yung NOV, ang sinasabi ni Secretary Dominguez, 2% lang naman of GDP derives from tourism. Ang problema dyan, sa tingin ko, may cascading industries yan. Unang-una, yung mga call center at saka yung POGO. Di ba? Yung Philippine Online Gaming. Halos lahat niyan, Chinese nationals. Paano yun? Di ba? We're all so nervous now. How will they come into the Philippines? How will they get out? What can we do for infectious diseases and all the contagion that we're worried about? Maliban pa dyan, alam naman natin sa Cebu yung cascade ng tourism. May livelihood yan, may hotel, may restaurant, may transport industries, habal-habal, tricycle, angkas, all of that will be affected. And sa palagay ko, ganun din yung ating OFW. We count on our OFWs as the largest dollar earner of the country. How will they go in and out when there are bans in all the countries? Quarantines have been set up all over the place. They can't move in and out, Hong Kong, Macau, China. So I am asking our economic managers to come up with a plan. Ano yung plano? Kasi sa tingin ko, hindi kasing liit sa sinasabi nila ang epekto nito sa ating ekonomiya. Triple whammy tayo triple whammy to Ang bigat nito, so I'm certain that there will be some kind of effect. So we'll have to push for other projects and make sure that we have countervailing efforts in place. Kasi tatamaan tayo nito, yung tourism. Ano ang kapalit kapag wala ng China tourist? Dapat may kapalit. Paano yung Boracay? Diba? Paano yung Cebu? Paano yung mga matitindi sa tourism? What is the replacement? What's the substitute employment? Wala naman. So I think we need to plan forward so that may forward planning tayo ng konti. I-estimate natin yung mga areas, ano ang gagawin. We have to offer some kind of cash for work, some kind of alternate or substitute livelihood for these areas that are certainly going to be badly hit. Sa Taal na wala na yung agriculture, wala na yung kape. Yung kape barako ng Batanggenyo, na-wipe out yung kape. Tapos lahat ng livestock nila, yung mga baka nila, yung mga kambing, yung baboy, nawala na rin. So, clearly, they're going to be at a great loss. Yung sinasabing 2+% ng GDP na negligible, palagay ko, hindi rin negligible. Plus yung OFW dollars na hindi pwede natin binamaliit. Malaki yun Pag in total, I think we're counting on that for so much of our overseas revenue.
Maganda yung sinabi na Senator nung
Ipili kong curtain na si Mitch nagla.
sinabi nila na
Ay, message ako. Nagkatawag.
sa inflation rate.
Yes, I think that's exactly what you're saying, yung sa rice, no? Pagkatapos umabot ng 75 pesos kada kilo ng bigas sa Zamboanga and in other places. I don't like to be alarmist, but at the same time, I don't want to be caught flat-footed. Dapat may forward planning tayo. Huwag tayo mag-panic, pero at the same time, let's have an objective assessment of what the damage is that we have to deal with. Tapos magplano tayo dun sa mga areas, and I think Cebu's gotta be one of them because of the tourism sector. Where are the areas that we have to make tutok? Yung where shall we focus, alternate livelihood, cash for work, subsistence, subsidies, whatever, stipends, kung anong kailangan. Kasi marami dyan talaga tatamaan walang hanap buhay. That's the reality.
Ma'am, punta na tayo sa angkas, ma'am. Ano na update doon, ma'am?
Ano na ang update sa angkas? Nahihilo ako sa LTFRB. Naloka kami kay Garchola. Anyway, nung una, sabi niya, wag na, yung pilot test, pinayagan yung pilot test. Pagkatapos noon, ano ba nangyari? Tapos biglang, the day before, the hearing in the Senate, the pilot test, then he cut the pilot test. So, I don't know, gulo-gulo nila. Ang sabi namin, let's be reasonable. Number one, ang CAS and motorsiklo, talaga naman this is not the kind of transport. But, given our situation na wala namang tren, wala namang subway, wala namang LRT, kulang na kulang yung P2P buses, tanggapin natin na kailangan natin ang tricycle ngayon. That's all we have. Better naman yung regulated, na may prangkisa, na may insurance, may training, may standards, may emission testing. Better na yung mga regulated kaysa sa habal-habal na naman, kurong-kurong na naman. These are better naman. So given that, let's try and regulate them. Huwag na lang pagbawal, mas magiging kolorum lahat yan. Dami-dami na ng kolorum na nag-ooperate. Mas nakakatakot yung kolorum. They have no safety standards at all.
Are you for the amendment of the law that will legalize habal-habal operation?
Yes, I've actually filed a bill. And of course, ang maganda pa doon, pag hinayaan mo yung motorcycle, maging legal na sa LTFRB once and for all, having established the standards, no? Yung safety standards, yung helmet, yung training, all of that. Having established all these standards, let's allow the local governments to give the franchises. Additional income pa sa LGU yan. Because right now, yung mga tricycle, binibigyan ng prangkisa ng mga LGU. Malaking bagay yan kasi the LGUs are earning from that. If we can do the 3-wheel, give it to the LGU, yung 2-wheel, bigay rin natin sa LGU once the LTFRB has established safety standards. Para once and for all, magkaroon naman tayo ng some kind of public transport. Akala ko nga noon, sa Ligbid lang yun, only in the province, papatok. I didn't realize that in Manila, it was going to be such a popular mode of transport because of the traffic being so bad. As a matter of fact, now, because Angkas was so uncertain whether they were coming or going, I hear that motorcycles are being sold to many, many people who actually own cars. Because it's just faster and more convenient to go by motorcycle. So they leave their cars at home now. It's just the reality of our lousy traffic situation. I'm very hopeful though that Cebu's traffic will improve. We keep hearing about 1.7 billion being poured into Cebu, 3 billion in infrastructure being poured in Cebu. Kaya lang, matagal pa. That's the problem. In the meantime, tiis-tiis pa rin daw. So, habang nagtitiis, pwede ba i-legalize na muna yung angkas? Pwede ba pagbigyan muna yung mga prangkisa ng tricycle? Pwede ba pag-usapan yung mga ruta to keep them off the main highways? And so on and so forth. In the meantime, this is not the best way. Given yan. Pero, hindi mo pwede mag-antay at isang tao. Yes, I think so. That's a lot of livelihood, di ba? Magkano ba? 27,000 are counting on it. That's why they were all hollering na mawawalan sila ng livelihood. And that's only one breadwinner. O di times 5 pa yun kasi yung pamilya pa niya. So that's a lot of opportunity gone to waste. And that's livelihood for the riders. Eh paano pa yung pasahero? Kawawa naman, over Christmas, walang masakyan. Di ba? Nagka-hassle-hassle pa. So, I think, let's be reasonable. Accept that this is the stage we're in. Everyone in the region has it. Na-legalize na yan ng Indonesia, na-legalize na ng Thailand, Malaysia. Bakit tayo naiiba?
So are you going to push that at the Senate, that this
Oo
will
nga, I
be...
think everyone is pushing very hard in the Senate and in Congress na once and for all gawin na to. Kaya lang yun nga, LTFRB keeps changing its mind. Let's hope that they finally come to terms. Mukha naman nag-meeting sila na mas maayos. hindi na sila naghahabla, nag-atras na sila ng mga kaso. So hopefully they can have a reasonable and objective conversation. Huwag na sila mag-away.
Okay.
Lastly, the rest.
Anything?
Ano lang, balik sa in-coffee, ma'am. So, ano po yung naging resulta ng Senate hearing regarding sa handling of the government sa in-coffee, and what will be reiteration?
Well, as usual, marami pa rin reklamo. As usual, marami pa rin reklamo na medyo kulang yung response, medyo mabagal yung response. At higit sa lahat, yung contact tracking na nakakalinis. Kasi makadali naman makita yung manifest, bakit hindi ma-produce para mahanap natin. But I think on the longer scheme of things, I think we need to focus on tropical infectious disease in all our facilities, train more people, and devote some facilities, dedicate some facilities to infectious diseases and the possibility of putting up isolation wards in at least the regions para at may alam tayo gawin kapag nagkakaroon nitong mga mystery diseases, because it's very, very difficult to deal like this. Luluntad lang tayo, gulatan na naman, hindi na naman alam ang gagawin. There should be well-established protocols once and for all. It's not the first time this happens. Pwede ba? Nangyari na to sa atin. Na-SARS na tayo, may MERS pa, nagka-Ebola pa. Kailan pa tayo matututo?
Mensahe mo na lang sa Cebuanos.
Yung
lalo
sa
na
militar.
yung N-Coffee. Mensahe mo na for Cebuanos.
Yes, for Cebuanos. Okay. Sa lahat ng ating mga, to all the Cebuanos, unfortunately, Cebu is at the front line of the nCoV epidemic. It's very, very important that without sowing panic, without listening to fake news, we take all the precautions that we have been told today. Let's not take this for granted. It's not just flu, it's not sipon-sipon, ubo-ubo. In fact, it's a very infectious and potentially fatal disease. So, unang-una yung mga anak natin, wash our hands constantly. Do not touch your face, avoid it at all costs. Wear a mask whenever possible. Avoid unnecessary crowded places, workshops, conferences. Kung hindi naman kailangan umalis ng bahay, huwag muna lalabas, lalo na yung mga lola at maliliit na bata who are so vulnerable. In the meantime, stay informed. Stay informed about the latest developments, about the quarantines, and all the relatives who are overseas, who are OFWs, or are in the tourism sector. Last na lang, reminder sa ating mga health providers, take care of yourselves, ang ating mga nurses and doctors. Parati na lang kayo nadadali. Please be extra cautious. We need you.
Thank you.
Bumaba din yung crime rate dahil sa lahat.
Okay.
Immediately na meron ganun kaso sa exam.
Transparency ng Pilipinas? I think the Philippines was transparent pero mabagal. I think the president was very worried na